This is Boxing Tickets NI in association with SB Sports and Chaco. We're delighted to be joined all the way from Scotland with our good friend, Ben McGivern. How are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Struggling on. It's a Friday evening. It's sun shining here as well as in Scotland today. So I think for once we can share the same sort of good memories of weather.
Don't, I wouldn't say that too long. I think it's going to downpour shortly.
Hopefully we'll get this wrapped up, Ben, before you get you soaked.
No, I'm used to it.
But I guess, like, I spoke to you obviously last time, May of last year. You were yet to make your professional debut. You'd obviously boxed in the British and Irish Boxing Association for a good few fights, but you're now obviously approaching your fifth pro fight. Are you sort of still sort of having to pinch yourself after waiting for so long? Do you get your British license that you're now flying along?
Well, I am, yeah, definitely. When I got my licence, it was I had to pinch myself a few times, to be fair, but now it's underway and I've got the fight that I wanted, my debut out the way, and more I've continued progressing up the ladder. It's been fantastic, but still, it's getting more exciting now, that the fact that I'm getting to where I want to be, and this so early.
And like, you know, like at 34 as well, I guess, you know, we'll sort of come on to the Jamie Morrissey fight in a minute or two, but at 34, you sort of can't go down the sort of normal route of having a few 5 or 6 journeyman fight to sort of get built into it. You're sort of having to throw the stabilizers off quickly, and you're an experienced fighter as it is, but you're having to throw the stabilizers off and sort of take the bigger fights sort of sooner on.
Yeah, well, that's why I started. As I says, I came into this game to get the best fights I could possibly get in the sport. I'm not here just to make a number up. Regardless, the age is only a number. I'm still training like I was when I was 18, if not harder. I'm putting everything into the camp for Jamie Morrissey, as this is the biggest fight to date. And for it being a Celtic title, I know it means a lot to Jamie, and it also means a lot to me. So it will make a great fight for both.
And sort of looking back, obviously your debut in just past, pretty much just over a year, just past, you fought probably a legend, obviously, the other fight game in Lewis von Poch, which he's a maniac, isn't he?
Oh, listen, I've never met a funnier guy, honest to God. And to share the ring with him for my debut, I couldn't ask for a better debut with Pucci. He opened my eyes to a lot of things when I was in there, and that I'm grateful for, because I learnt more out of that fight than I would have fighting probably a boy between 2-0. Do you know what I mean? So I was in there, and Pucci kept me on my toes, and watching it back, and I thought that's a great fight for, like, just opening the slot for my debut for the British Boxing Board of Control. And I thought, listen, this is interesting, because it's not as if I'm just walking in and blowing the guys out the water. I'm having to work hard, I'm having to stay fit, I'm having to watch don't get caught or cut. Do you know what I mean? So I know myself, every fight I watch back and I get into the gym and I learn, and I'm always learning each day. So it's getting exciting now. The fact is, that's my fourth fight out of the way. And as you say, we waited a while for my debut, and then obviously with COVID kicking in, I just thought it was just never going to be my time. But now it's passed and the ladder's getting climbed. I'm at the stage now where it was only last year I was screaming for my debut. Now I'm 5 fights almost in, and I'm fighting for a Celtic title, which, if you would have said to me back there in March, in 5 fights, would you fight for a Celtic title? I would have said no.
And when you look back at sort of your fights you've watched, I guess you're probably nearly your worst critic. Probably at times you probably look at fights and you go, I didn't do this right or didn't do that right. Would you be sort of super critical of yourself and sort of performances? And
oh, definitely. Listen, every fight I watch, I'm always beating myself up about stuff I'm doing and stuff that I could have done, stuff that I've done in training that I hadn't done previously in the fight. Every fighter gets like that. But there's one thing that I do look at myself and say, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. But there's one thing I will take credit for, is I do put 100% in the gym, mate. So as you've seen with my fitness, obviously don't get to see all my fights, but the ones that I watch back on, I can see my fitness, how well and how hard it's all shown. Do you know what I mean, in the gym?
And like, I guess, looking at the Jamie Morrissey fight, you're giving away age, you're giving away height, you're coming down in weight as well. I guess is this
Yeah.
the sort of does this show the character of you that you don't care who it is? I guess the person you're fighting's got two arms, got two legs as well, so it's about who gives their all and does the most on the night at once.
It wasn't. No, it's not that. It's, I've always wanted to come down in weight and test myself, and I've always wanted to fight the best. And Jamie Morrissey got put to me, and 12 stone at super middle. That's what I was fighting at anyway. So I was like, yeah. So getting the 12 stone isn't a problem for me. I could. So my weight's just sitting. I usually sit at 79 anyway. So that's only like half a stone I'd lost anyway. So it's making the weight's not an issue. It's obviously me testing myself against, obviously, as you say, the younger generation of these days now, obviously, because I'm getting old now. But it's, there's no point in lying. But an age is only an age, as you say. You're only as young as how is what you're feeling in the gym. I'm improving. And who I'm sparring with, people like Paul Keane, it's IBO champion, and Big Dan Johnson, which is massive. So everything that I'm getting up against, talent, height, age, do you know what I mean? And in my camp, I'm training and I'm sparring with the people that are helping me along and what I'm about to go in against. So my experience and stuff like that, everything's going well, and I know what I'm in for. I'll be ready for it.
This is obviously second time around of asking. Obviously, you probably get the worst probably luck. Not only did you get COVID, but obviously so close to fight week, it just was impossible to do. Do you sort of look back on it now and it's give you a bit more preparation time, or were you prepared 100% the first time around? And
like I says, I was ready. I was ready that day. I was ready the week before for this fight. The first time around, when I seen that, I woke up and I didn't feel myself. I thought, nah, I'll just go for a wee sauna and hang me. And my head was banging, and my throat and thing. So I done a test before I left, and it came up. And honest to God, when I seen it, I could regret all the hard work. And I went right. And it was in the back of my head to turn around and say, did I tell anybody? They just continue, but it's not fair on the people around me, the people that, do you know what I mean, the show. So I would have felt guilty even if I took the fight on, and regardless of what happened that day on the fight, if Jamie had to come round and say, I've got COVID and something happened, or he passed on to somebody else, or Jamie's team got it, do you know what I mean? So I didn't want to call the fight. I didn't want to tell anybody, but I thought it was right to say. And I'm glad because a couple of days after it, I was floored. And she tried to come back for it. It was brutal. It's one of the worst experiences I've had.
I've had obviously COVID myself, probably I think about a month or so before you had it as well. And I guess we sort of get to that stage. That was my first time having it, and I thought, it's only really like a sort of flu or something like that. But the tiredness kicks in, you just feel like some pains all over. I guess the right thing to do was to call it off, because the last thing you want to do is to go into a fight and put your own health at risk, through it.
Well, that was it. It was when I woke up, and every morning I woke up, it was excitement. I was waking up with, we forgot the day, looking forward to sparring, looking forward to the running, looking forward to training. And that morning I woke up and I felt utter crap. And I went, I don't feel myself. Is it if I ran myself down with how hard I have been training? And that's what it was. And I never get sore heads. And that's what clicked it. And I went, I've got a sore head, a bang sore head. So I got a paracetamol. And my breath was a bit, do you know what I mean? And I done a test and it came up and I looked at it and it went, and I doubted myself. I was like, did I tell anybody I do or not? Because I was at everything that I wanted was there, just a hand reach away, and it got took away like that. Not only for me, it's for Jamie's camp as well, because do you know what I mean? Jamie must have been putting some hard work in as well after coming off a fight with Seamus Devlin as well.
Mm. I guess it's one of them things. I guess you just have to, things happen. We've been used to it with COVID and everything else. Obviously, your debut was delayed because of COVID and everything else, and it just got to that stage where it's just nothing can be done. That's it. That's what happens.
Part of life, you need to deal with it, isn't it?
It is. Obviously 15 days out. It's been renamed. There's no easy way out. You're both putting your unbeaten records on the line. I guess for you, it's probably harder to probably study, Jamie, because probably maybe not as much boxing footage. He obviously is a Muay Thai fighter before. Does that sort of make any relevance to the fight, or is it just sort of maybe learn some things in the ring about him?
No, listen, I'll learn on the night about Jamie, what Jamie's going to bring on the night. I'll need to deal with Jamie's cell on the night. I don't really take too much from footage because everybody can change. Not everybody's the same fighter that you watched back 4 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago, 6 months ago. Everybody goes back to training and they change who they are. And always like to get themselves better than what they were before. So I never take nothing away from what I see from other fighters, because if you take that mindset, then you can get into this fight and you think he's going to box that way, and you could end up getting the better version of that person and end up hurt. Mm-hmm. So, no, I just concentrate my fitness, concentrating what I'm learning, what I'm willing to do in this fight, and I'll take it in, and whatever Jamie's got, I'll need to match it, if not better it.
I guess when you're giving away, height and reach and everything else, I think, it probably doesn't take many people to be clued into the fact that you're going to try and stay in his chest, and probably turn it into a sort of slugfest sort of in a way, because, you'd be a fool to probably stand at range with obviously his height and reach. You'd nearly need a step ladder sort of sometimes to get in close to him as well. But what does obviously a win on the 1st of October do for the career of you, Ben?
Well, first of all, I don't need to buy boxing boots for this fight anyway. I've got my missus stilettos for the fight. I'm hoping to be about the same height, if not just a wee bit under Jamie. So they'll work, and if he hits me too hard, I'll just take him off and hammer him over the head with him. No. No, listen, all kidding aside, it's a really important fight for me, and it's I'm over the moon at the fact that 5 fights in, and I'm getting to fight for the opportunity for the Celtic title, and what better way than to fight Jamie. I know Jamie's a tough lad, and as you says, I'd be daft to stand in time, but you know what I mean? I'm sparring people taller than, maybe a wee bit taller than Jamie. So I know myself in sparring what I need to do and what I have been doing. So I need to carry this in to the 1st of October. I've fought bigger people all my days. It's not too hard to fight anybody but smaller than me, because I'm only small, as you know. Mm-hmm. So everybody, Amy, taller than me, is a lot bigger than me. So I have to always look up. So probably on the way in, I'll be looking at Jamie's belly button. Do you know what I mean? So, but taking everything that I've been doing in sparring recently with Big Dan Johnson, Paul Keane and stuff like that, I'm not going to say that it's been a bad camp, because it's not. It's been the best camp. So whatever goes on the night goes on the night. And listen, I know I'm there to win, and I know I will win, because what I'm doing in sparring now is, I can only, the feedback I've been getting, do you know what I mean? That's coming for top IPO champions, and that Big Dan Johnson, himself, and the coaches. So everybody around me saying I'm flying now. So I can only beat myself.
I guess when you sort of look at it the other way, obviously you're giving up height and reach, but obviously Jamie's going to have to punch down and everything else. And I guess you can see sometimes a fighter at a smaller weight can make more inroads than a puncher having to punch down. Obviously he's having to throw everything down the way. He's probably not fought someone as height-wise as yourself before, so in some ways it may turn into a positive for you.
It might do, yeah. I don't think Jamie will ever fight somebody that's about 3'7". Do you think? a 3'7" Scottish guy? No, but listen, you're right. He'll have to punch down as much as I'll have to try and punch up. But it's going to be interesting because there's a lot of advantages on his side and vice versa on my side, because as you say, he needs to punch down and I'll need to punch up. So we'll need to work hard. Both of us will work hard. And on the night, it's on paper it's a 50-50, but I know on the night this is going to be a fantastic fight. It's one you don't want to miss. So both guys have been training well, and listen, the winner takes the next step. Do you know what I mean? So, and as you say, with two are undefeated and putting an undefeated record on the line. So it will be interesting, and what a fantastic card to be on. Well, obviously we're headlining it, but if you've seen undercard, that's fantastic as well. Some big names on there as well.
I guess when you mix Scottish and Irish fans together, it's only going to create an amazing atmosphere as well. We both seem to know what it's like to be passionate about boxing. So, you know, Paisley's obviously it's going to be people's going to be thinking there's all out fights happening. You know, it's like the riots happening because the noise coming from Paisley Leisure Centre will be crazy.
Oh, one half, and that's what I like about it. I love Irish people. And obviously, as you know, myself, I'm a Celtic man, so it's it will be very interesting and loud that night. No bad blood after it, do you know what I mean? It's just business, and then after it, shake hands and let the best man win. It's twos have put hard camp in, and unfortunately, they get paused for a while due to obviously COVID, and then again we've had to get straight back into camp after it. And listen, it takes heart and desire and guts to get in there in the ring, and see all the time you have to put in training. It's hard. I know that myself, because she's trying to get back into it after COVID. It was brutal, but I just dug in, put my teeth down and just got on with it. But I'm flying, so again, it's going to be really interesting, this fight.
Do you look at sort of, you know, it looks like Jamie Morrissey's obviously a fight scheduled for 4 weeks later in America. Do you maybe sort of look at that he may be sort of overlooking you in some ways? It's sort of, you know, I guess you have to plan sometimes for boxing.
Again, I'll take nothing away for the way for it is scheduled in for 4 weeks. See, if a fight comes up, you need to take it regardless. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? So if something happens and he can't fight 4 weeks, then that's his issue to deal with. But I'm not going to say that he's overlooked me, because it'd be silly to listen. If he thinks that age is going to play a factor in this fight, or because I'm near the end of the career, then he's honest to God, he'll have a silly head on his shoulders if he did think that. But I know that he won't, because he does sound like a clever man. And listen, he's only 27, but the time that he has lost through obviously COVID and what so. If a fight gets gave to you now, take it, because you need as much fights as possible, I would say that right now. But I would take a fight in 4 weeks if I get a phone call. Do you know what I mean? So if a fight gets handed to you, take it regardless. It's no overlooking. It's no overlooking somebody. It's just obviously choking to get back in straight after it.
I know that Jimmy obviously is very respectful. Obviously, of any opponents and stuff he's faced and stuff before. I guess it's like, when fights get put in as an opportunity to make money and keep yourself relevant in boxing, you're going to keep doing what you do.
Well, if you want to climb the ladder, this is opportunities you need to take. Do you know what I mean? It's, again, if I was shy, I had a phone call saying, do you want to fight in 4 weeks' time? Do you know what I mean? I would take it. It's no disrespectful to me thinking I'm going to overlook Jamie, because anything can happen. Do you know what I mean? A clash of heads could cause a cut, and that'll be Jamie out for more than 4 weeks. Do you know what I mean? So again, it's anything could happen, but it's just the chance that you need to take the fight. And if hopefully nothing does happen, nothing does stop him from fighting in 4 weeks' time after we meet. Do you know what I mean? But because they will have to bounce back from a defeat. But again, that's one thing. I would have took the fight, and that wouldn't be me overlooking any of my opponents. So he done the right thing with taking it, and I don't obviously. I don't take too much. I don't look too much into it. When
that happens, definitely. Well, look, obviously, we'll thank you very much for your time. Obviously, 15 days to go. 2 weeks' time from now, you'll be able to get back to eating properly again. Obviously, because the weigh-in will be done. But we obviously want to thank you once again for coming on, having a chat with us. We'll obviously look forward to watching the fight, and obviously may the best man win on the 1st of October.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having us on.
100%. Again.
Hopefully catch up soon again.
Definitely, Ben. Listen, it was lovely chatting with you. Take care.
You too.
Cheers,
Right, cheers.
Bye bye.
See you later on, pal. Cheers. Ta-ra.